think, oh, we created the internet for our own benefit. That's how it seems to us. Think teams spreading because they must. We are the old machines. Now, are we going to pull through? What's going to happen? What does it mean to pull through? Well, there are kind of two ways of pulling through. One that is obviously happening all around us now is that the teams turn us into team machines with these implants, with the drugs, with us merging with the technology.
You know, it reminds me of the movie The Terminator, right? Where the humans create, you know, the Skynet, you know, to kind of this strategy, you know, of protecting them. And ultimately, the computers or the machines, their logic is that the humans are the threat. And so they decide to launch off all the nuclear missiles and basically destroy the humans. And basically it becomes where they're taking over. The problem is with the humans. So it kind of, you know, that kind of reminds me of that. Maybe where this evolution might.
Well, it's funny because it kind of really starts with Deep Blue, right? Deep Blue, the development of Deep Blue, yes.
Right. Yeah, I remember that. And that was Kasparov, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Garry Kasparov was the international chess champion, and IBM decided that they wanted to try to beat him with a machine.
And that was in the late 90s, so that wasn't far, that was like a decade ago, really. And at first, Kasparov beat the machine. And then they retooled the Deep Blue to be Deeper Blue, I think it was. And then Deeper Blue kicked Kasparov's ass, right? I think.
Yeah.
So it's interesting, right? I mean, that's...
Well, can you imagine? I mean, you're the chess champion, you know? You're this meat beast that has all of this, like, you know, immaculate conception, but yet a machine beat you.
And you know, it's funny because I think I remember. I mean that's logic, though, right? That's just primarily logic. But I mean, I think logic could inevitably be applied to creativity, right?
Well, I mean, for me, it is absolutely. I mean, my creativity lies within logic.
Right. And you said this earlier about math, you know, being applied to really like. Chess really is there's some math involved in there, you know, looking turns ahead and, you know, strategizing what are the kind of this game theory.
Well, it's not just math, it is math. I mean, it is pure math. It is essentially, you break it down into an algorithm, and if you can take that and understand that algorithm, then you'll be great at math.
Right, like Fibonacci numbers, for example, right? There's a great example. The Fibonacci numbers, you know, the golden spiral. I mean, that kind of created, you know, a lot of, I find Fibonacci, when applied to art, like the golden spiral, I find it to be kind of a majestic. I think it's a beautiful thing because I'm a bit of a math geek myself. So I think it's interesting. That's the example I was trying to get to, was that math could one day not just be logic, not just be strategizing, but also could be applicable to artistic nature.
Well, yeah, no, the math absolutely has capability to become creative within itself. I mean, it is the nature of math, period. I mean,
sequences, right? These sequences could add up to. And if you apply it in a certain way, you know, I mean, Fibonacci is it's involved in nature, right?
Absolutely. I mean, look at spider webs. Look at how a sunflower grows. Look at how a shell grows. You know,
that's Fibonacci right there.
That is solid Fibonacci.
That's right. Absolutely. I mean, Fibonacci sequences they already appear in biological settings, you know, like you said, the sunflowers. I mean, that's actually a really unique kind of a concept that if sunflowers, if you can see Fibonacci, or rather the sequence of sunflowers, what else is there beyond that?
Well, what it ends up being, I think it ends up being that there's an infinite number of things that can be from that particular equation. But when math finally understands it itself, if you will, then then that opens up the Pandora's box of the infinite, of the actual capability. I mean, we are brilliant beasts. We have these brains that do our thing, and yet within that, we are limited by a certain number of calculations per second. And once computers are capable of achieving that level, yeah, I'd like to see, and I'd like to see where we fit into that framework.
Right. I mean, artists might be, I could say, phased out. You know, you might have these AutoCAD kind of CAD systems set up to just make art. You know, never mind make technology. I mean, just like the robots that make cars. You know, there could be just simply robots producing and
Yeah, but the differential I think that exists within artists is that it's not just the process, the math involved in making an object. It is the context of that object and why that object has meaning, and why you're spending the time making that thing. You know, life. Perhaps this is it. You know, I mean, we talked about Alexis Ohanian's talk there, and he spoke, you know, very clearly about letting go of the idea, and for most artists, I think that's a very important thing.
Right.
It's really hard to do, but it's an important thing of letting go of what the final meaning will be.
Right.
You know.
And it's one thing. I mean, the fact is, like Deep Blue, we're teaching computers to think logic. You know, if we could teach them to understand Fibonacci numbers, how to produce art, how to produce cars, and all that stuff, there's always going to be the chaos theory, and that's where perhaps humans come in. Where, you know, there's going to be a difference, and when we understand chaos theory, then that's going to be a danger point. I think that's going to be the danger point when computers understand, you know, what for years we've been trying to develop.
Well, yeah, and what that will imply to them is that that the computers need to understand what emotion is, because emotion is the dissimilation between logic and experience. And without the prime example is Data on Star Trek, a fantastic example of a machine that is trying to learn how to feel. You know.
Right. But also, he's trying to learn how to feel so he can understand how people are acting around him.
Absolutely.
Again, it's a logic.
Yeah, but then that logic is like working in and around itself, trying to find out how feelings exist. And I think that the data was the concept of data was somewhat flawed, because I think the nature of like of something being capable of achieving a level of consciousness that allows it to interact with everything around it will therefore imply a nature of experience. I mean, can you imagine the algorithm involved in describing the fluctuation of emotional response within even just a single familial environment? Because every single one of those people have their own set of circumstances that are pre-described by their predecessors' circumstances, right? And their environment. I mean, it's just like the math, the root math involved. And I'm sure at some point there will be a computer that is fast enough to compute the entirety of the universe, really, all at once. Boom, 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 just like that, right?